It was warm in the night. I was cold like a stove. Yeah, but I still haven't done what I'm looking for. I'm looking for what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. You know what? Clap your hands and let's dance. Let's take this in the church. I believe the kingdom come. No.
Welcome to the Virtual Stab Comedy Theater. It's time for the Suzette Veneti Show. Please welcome to your screen your host, Suzette Veneti.
Think you're hot shit, ooh, I love it, yeah, yeah. Stumbling, but yeah, you're still looking hella fun. Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll make you mine. Well, you're a hot mess, and I'm falling for you, and I'm like, hot damn, let me make you my boo. 'Cause you can shake it, shake it, shake
Hi, everybody. It's 5:03. It's a Sunday. That means it's time for the Suzette Veneti Show. It's August 8th, 2021, and I'm Suzette Veneti. So I'm your host because it's the Suzette Veneti Show, the only show hosted by a drag princess whose smartwatch logged that she got an hour and 5 minutes of sleep from 6:06 to 7:11 today, except that wasn't sleep smartwatch. That was me sitting down to write interview questions for the show. So we're just going on full no sleep. Like always, it's the Suzette Veneti Show. Hi. Okay. Not much of a monologue today because it's a good show. That's what I'm going to say. I'm excited for the guest. And yeah, there was a woman. This is more news than a joke because I just didn't write a joke about it yet, but I feel like I need to pass this along. There was a woman in Athens, Georgia, who wanted to swim, so she went for a night swim on Thursday inside of a 70-foot high water tank filled with 350,000 gallons of water. And that's not a swimming pool. So they got her out, and I'm going to assume they arrested her. The story didn't say it because she was white, so they might not have. They might have just let her swim in the pool that they had in the tank that they then had to drain, and because they had to sanitize it because it was the water for Athens, Georgia, not this woman's private swimming pool. She's probably on meth. I don't know. In other news, Offspring drummer Pete Parada was asked not to tour with the band after he refused to get a vaccine. Parada said to his bandmates, "I don't know about this mRNA vaccine, you guys." His bandmate, lead singer Dexter Holland, has a PhD in molecular biology from USC. And this is true, and wrote a 175-page dissertation that is titled Discovery of Mature MicroRNA Sequences Within Protein Coding Regions of Global HIV-1 Genomes, Predictions of Novel Mechanisms for Viral Infection and Pathogenicity. I said that right, pathogenicity. Which basically means he's really smart and has done a fuck ton of research on mRNA vaccines and technology. So Holland told Parada, when Parada said, "I don't know about this mRNA vaccine," he said, "I've actually done a ton of research on this, man, and trust me, this is safe and good." And Parada, the drummer of his band, who does not have a PhD in molecular biology, responded, "I've done a ton of research too, like watching YouTube videos and reading blogs by people who watch longer YouTube videos. So like, how did you do your research?" And Holland responded, "The normal way, with lab work and years of study. And I did so much that I have a degree in molecular biology and wrote a 175-page dissertation on it." To which Parada responded, "So like, you didn't watch any videos, though?" So anyway, long story short, Parada has not been kicked out of the band, but was asked not to tour with them going forward and isn't likely to be asked back. Offspring band members, you got to keep them separated. We went there. Hey, Pete Parada, why don't you get a job? And then also Jennifer Aniston's kicking people out of her life that aren't vaccinated. So, let's see, is Chelsea here? Cool. Then we're gonna kick it right over to one of my favorite people, one of my favorite comedians, and my favorite contributor for the show. I am so excited that she's here today. It's been a couple weeks, so please help me welcome to the show, Chelsea Bierce.
I'm muted. There we go. I'm
there
not
you
muted
are.
Anymore. Hi.
Hi.
How are we?
We are okay. How are you?
No, I'm in a horrible fucking place, and I'm sorry, but that's where the show is going now. So
Take it there.
I hope you had a good brunch. I discovered today, after having brunch with the guy that I was seeing, I had brunch with him, and he met two of my best friends, Heather Weber and Jeanette Marin, who you know very well.
I do.
I found out right after that he's seeing someone else as well. So, yay! That's where I'm at. I've been crying for an insane amount of time right now. So, I am not okay. I apologize that this is the Chelsea that you get, but I'm fucking here. I'm on your goddamn show. Here I am, and this is 100% real. I just found this out today.
Okay.
And here's the fucking thing. Here, let's talk it out. Let's dissect it together. Let's go through it.
Let's dissect.
And you know what, Melanie, I apologize. This is not how I usually am. You're beautiful. I'm sure you're very, very interesting. I'm a mess of a person right now. And I cannot wait to just drink myself to a blackout and have this day fucking end. But here's the fucking kicker. Let's talk about it. Let's really delve into this shit, okay? For the 6 people that are on Twitch watching this, let's talk about it. For women who go through garbage relationships and they get treated like shit, for them to open up their heart to someone new takes a lot. And if you are the person that allows them to open their heart to you, and then you go and you throw it in the garbage, fuck all the way up. You are lower than any human I've ever encountered in my life. I've been at the bottom of the goddamn barrel. I've been told horrible things from someone that I was going to marry, from someone that I gave my life to, from someone that I gave every single piece of me to. And it took years to repair that. Years. And I never thought that I would give myself over to someone else again. And it's happened twice since that piece of shit. And each time they treat it like it's a goddamn toy you can win out of a claw machine. Like it's not worth it to them. And they don't understand how much I went through to give them so much of me. And I'm fucking done. I'm done. I'm over it. I'm so fucking over it. Ugh. Do you want to talk? This is your show. Go ahead. Ask me a question. Go ahead. Ask me a question.
Well, okay. So first, a couple of responses to things you said. First of all, you don't need to apologize for any version of Chelsea Bierce you're gonna make me cry because I love you. You don't need to apologize for any version that you are on this show because I will take any version of you that shows up for this show. And it is ridiculous that a man that you would be interested in, or any person that you'd be interested in, wouldn't also take any version of you because you're one of the most amazing people I know. So yeah, fuck him all the way off. Really.
Like, it's just like, and I called him out today because I was like, okay, so here's the thing. This week he went to Vegas and because his brother got married on a Tuesday, which is already weird. But his brother got married on a Tuesday because he wanted to get married on the date, so that it was like 1 year from like the engagement. You know what I mean? Like that's so they got married on a Tuesday. So he's been like telling me that he's been sleeping all day and he's been, still recovering from Vegas and blah, blah. And I'm like, you're in your mid 30s. It doesn't take 6 days to recover from Vegas. I don't care what you do. You know what I mean? So already like red flags are like starting to, present themselves. So then like today we go to brunch and everything. Yesterday he canceled on our plans, and I was dressed and ready to go, and I was just waiting for him, and then he tells me that he fell asleep, and like it doesn't matter, this is bullshit conversation. But then I'm like, oh my god, he's texting me right now, I fucking can't, I'm so over it, oh my god. So then he's like, well, I want to have brunch and this and this. So then he like meets me for brunch. We have brunch. He meets Heather. He meets Jeanette. These are two of my best friends on the planet. And these are two people that I also trust because they have my best interests in mind. Do you know what I mean? You know those girlfriends who you just trust incessantly and you're just like, I want you guys to feel this guy out. Like ask him the questions that I don't have the balls to ask him because I'm too close to the situation.
Oh, Chelsea,
do you know what I mean?
I would look. I trust you so much, and I obviously love your friends, but I would trust your friends because you trust them. Like if I was gonna meet somebody, I would want them to vet him just because that's what you would. That's good enough for me. So I totally get it. Like tell them I need them to do that for me.
Yeah. Oh, no, 100%. Absolutely. Like as honest as I am about you and how terrible you do drag when I like call you out, I will fucking call you out. But it's coming from a goddamn place of love because I want you to just get better. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like when they call me out and they're like, hey, this is a piece of shit. Great. Then guess what? Abort. I'm out. Like I trust my friends who are looking at it with an objective eye as opposed to me who's completely blinded to the situation because maybe I'll have sex for the first time in 3 years. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, this is where I'm at. So anyway, so he shows up for lunch and blah, blah, blah. And then like, obviously, I mean, it's brunch. So mimosas are heavily being poured. Let's all be honest. I mean, the fact that alcohol is involved in this is heightening all of this emotion. If I was sober right now, please, I would just be angry. But I really don't like the fact that I'm crying on camera, but fuck it, I'm over it already. So then we continue, like Jeanette leaves, Heather leaves, it's just me and him, and I call him out and I was like, so remember when you canceled on me yesterday? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, do you know that what that does to a girl? Like when you cancel and you already make plans, you cancel, like now she starts doubting herself. Now she starts doubting where you're at in the situation. Like now you have so much power in this situation just because you canceled. And now we start creating narratives that aren't necessarily true, but they could be. And we start creating our own fucking stories. And so I'm like, so I thought you were done. I thought you were not interested anymore. I thought you were out, blah, blah, blah. He's like, no. And I said, do you understand why I thought that though? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And I said, okay, you fucked up. And he said, yeah, I did. So then we go and get another drink at another place because I'm a goddamn alcoholic. It's fine, whatever. So we go get a drink at another place. And I said, and you know what? I need to just ask you this. Are you seeing someone else? And he goes, yes, I am. I was like, I knew it. And I said, and you weren't going to tell me, were you? And he goes, no. And I was like, you're such a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. Not only, here's how thick this frosting is not only is he dating me, he's dating this other chick, but he's also moving to the UK in October because he's currently in the Air Force. So now you're just making this so much more difficult. I knew he was moving to the UK in October. And you know what? If I'm dating you, I'm in. I'm all in. I'm not one of those chicks who can date 7 different dudes and just be like, yep, I got them all on a schedule and I know everybody's da-da-da-da. I'm not that chick. If I'm dating you, that's it. That's all I can handle. Your schedule, my kid's schedule. I'm out. That's it. My phone can't handle anymore. So when I told him that I was all in and I'm in, I'll schedule my first flight to you. We'll just see where we're at in the 2 months and we'll see where we're at in October and I'll come and visit. And he writes me back with a text message that says, I'm all in too. Let's do this. You've got me, babe. Then that makes me think for some fucking reason that I'm the only goddamn one. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you would think that because of
and I'm not. I'm fucking not. And it really makes you feel dumb. It makes you feel like an idiot. Even when without a shadow of a doubt, you're not the idiot in this situation because I figured it out. I'm a goddamn detective. I figured that shit out. I called you out in front of everybody and you had to give me the fucking truth. I'm not the idiot. You are. But still, somehow, you still weirdly hold power over me. And I don't fucking get it. I don't fucking get it. Go.
I don't know what we need to do. We need to sage like the West Coast for you. I don't know what we need to do, but we need.
I don't know. I'm so over it.
No, I know you're over it. I just don't understand. Because what you said is right. Like it, when you deal with somebody completely destroying your heart,
right?
Just mutilating it on their way out.
Right.
It's so hard to ever
when your
trust
heart
again.
Has been hurt so hard that you protect it with every ounce of your soul. And you protect it and there's no way that anyone is going to hurt you again. That's a promise I made to myself. And then you come back and it bites you in the ass, it bites you in the ass, it bites you in the ass. Like I told myself, like, I'm not going to get hurt again. I'm going to protect myself. This. And then someone comes along where you're like, I'm going to take a chance. And you allow them in just a little, Thank God neither one of these guys, because there's been 2 since my abusive engagement. There's been 2 since my physically abusive engagement where I've given them a part of my heart. And I'm like, let's see. Here's a piece. What are you going to do with this portion? Let me give you that and see what you do with it. Thank God above that neither one of these people met my kid. Thank the Lord that neither one, because my son is 5. Like, you know what I mean? He's at an age that is so he is, oh my God. He soaks up everything. And if he for 1 second got like made any sort of friendship or bond with these guys who took my heart and threw it in a disposal, that would be completely irreversible. Like, no. So thank God it's just my heart. If it was my heart and my kid, delete.
Well,
delete.
And I think that's the, I don't want to say silver lining because there's not really a silver lining here, but I think that's the thing about you that is you put your kid first in that situation. You protected him, and
right.
So not only are you not the dummy because you were the detective and figured it out, but you're also not the problem because anyone who protects their kid like that is a good person. So you did what you were supposed to, and you have to keep giving these little pieces of your heart because you have to hope that one day somebody's going to treat it the way you wanted to be treated, and they're going to take the whole heart, and they're going to protect you and love you and give you everything that you've ever been waiting for. And then you're going to introduce them to their kid, and that's going to be amazing. but they need to love you first, and you have to keep doing that, because if you don't, then you're never going to find it. But it's so fucking painful
Right.
along the way to do that, and it's not like
Right.
I talk a lot on this show, not to you, but to other people, and I always say that stand-up comedy is one of the hardest things I've ever done, because it's a moving target. It's not like any other art. It's not like acting where you have a next line. It's not like music where you have a next note. It's not like dancing where you have a next step. But dating is so much fucking worse. I would rather go to 1,000,000 bar open mics than go on dates.
But then you throw in the fact that I do literally everything that you just listed. You know, like professionally, I am a stand-up comic. I am an actor. I do sing. All of this stuff. This is all stuff that happens on stage in the limelight. So you throw that in where people like look at that and they glorify that. But to be completely honest, doing that as a profession makes dating 1,000 times more difficult.
Yeah.
1,000 times more difficult. It's absolutely, people think that that's who they want, but they're seeing the person that's on stage, and then they find out who you are as a person, all the work that goes into it, the networking, the travel, the work behind the scenes, the writing, the all of it. There's so much behind the scenes that people don't see. If we're just talking stand-up comedy, the 40 minutes I'm on stage making you laugh, that's the easy fucking part. It's like the top of an iceberg. You don't see the huge shit that's going down beneath the fucking surface. There's so much that led me here, and you don't see that. You want to see the glorified version of me, and they're in awe with the idea of me. If I tell you how many guys dated me from finding out that I was a stand-up comic and then wanted to edit my jokes, edit the fact of who I am on stage, well, you're with me now. You need to stop talking about your ex. No, that's material now. Just because I talk about him on stage, it doesn't mean that I'm secretly fucking him on a Tuesday while you're at work. No, that's material now. You have to be able to separate it. And unless you're in the industry, you don't understand that.
I'm glad you have Jeanette. I'm glad you have Heather. Because that's who I would send you to.
Right.
And I'm glad you have your kid.
I know. I get him back tomorrow, which means tonight is off fucking limits. Like, I'm drinking. Like, I am off the fucking. I'm off the grid tonight. I'm done. I'm logging off of everything because I don't want to message anybody after what happens when I log out of the show, because I'm seriously just trying to black out to go to sleep. That's what I want to do.
Well, do me a favor and just leave on the Twitch for the show for like, I don't know, 10 minutes, because Melanie knows a thing or two about relationships where she wasn't treated the way she should have been treated, and I'm gonna ask her opinion on everything that we've just talked about.
Yeah, done.
And I don't have any hope for me, you know that. I know. But I do have hope for you, and I don't know. Maybe she was at a point where I feel like we are. So, I'm sorry that this happened.
I know, and I feel really bad that like this is I mean, I told you that this might be my last Suzette Veneti show just because it's getting harder and harder to.
Because you're a busy comic. You're a working person.
Let's call it a working comic. Let's call it that. But it's true. It's just it's getting harder and harder for me to make 5 o'clock on a Sunday work. You know, I know for you it's like between shows and it's perfect and all that stuff. Usually on a Sunday now I'm traveling to a show, and so it's just it's getting harder and harder for me to make these work. So I feel really bad that this unfortunate situation happened tonight. I know that it won't be the last time that I'm here. I absolutely know that. But it was it was a real eye opener for me, and just kind of it was a really good reminder to not give my heart up too fast. You know, like it was a really good reminder of just taking it slow, remembering what's important. You know, really getting to know someone before you go all in. Because in this weird like culture of let me swipe right, oh, we matched, great, like sex is, you know, assumed on the first date, there's no more dating period, getting to know you bullshit. In this weird time, it's really hard to get to know somebody and take that time without being labeled a prude, without being labeled a fucking tease, but you know, but it's real. That's a really fine line that you're walking on, because so many people expect the relationship to go so supersonic fast, and that's not necessarily the best thing, you know. And I feel like as someone who, I'm 40 years old, as someone who is 40, there's a big part of me who's like, how much time do I have? I don't know. And I would love to have that partner in life, someone who I can depend on inside and out, up and down, left and right. And there's a real big part of me that feels like I'm just not supposed to have it. Do you know what I mean? So that's just where I'm at.
I absolutely know what you mean, because I feel the same way, and my 38th birthday is a month away. So in response to what you said, this is not perfect for me. I'm exhausted on Sunday nights, and Jesse and I are looking at things and maybe moving the show to a different night, which doesn't mean you'd have to be here, because you're still a working comic, a mom, a baker, you have a cake business, you are an actor, a singer, you do a lot. But if and when we move it, then I will tell you, and you're always welcome to pop in. You know that.
Yeah, we'll definitely figure it out. We'll figure it out for sure.
And if nothing else, you and Jeanette and Ivy have to come to a brunch and then pop in for a live show.
I know.
Which I guess that would have to be at Sunday then. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll definitely figure it out for sure.
Oh, the last thing. And there is a man out there that asked me about you. It's my dad. And you joked about dating him. So I'm just going to mention that my parents are coming back, because I have another show on the 22nd with FC Sierra and Sydney. And
are you doing my show on the 23rd? Oh, this is October. I'm talking about October. Are
you
doing Who Wrote This Shit as well with me?
Absolutely. Like,
okay. When
I ask you to be in my show, I'm hoping you say yes. When you ask me to be in your show, I'm absolutely always saying yes, because that's the direction that I would always say. Anyway, my dad was like, "We're coming for your show again," and I was like, "Okay, cool." And he was like, "So Chelsea's gonna be in it?" And I was like, Dad, yeah, I mean, look, I love Chelsea, but I have to rotate the room. Like, she might be in Sacramento that day. I don't know. I'll ask her. So, yeah, there's still a chance for me to be your stepdaughter.
Oh, my God. Well, yes. A dream is a wish your heart makes, right? Okay, yes.
Okay, before I let you go, did you see this shirt?
No, what are you wearing?
Oh,
what are you wearing?
It's makeup and mimosas.
Oh, really? Let's see. Hold it up. Oh, shit. Look at you. What?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't hate that at all. I didn't know you guys had merch.
We do soon.
Oh, my God.
And your Suzette Veneti shirt is on the way. They were back ordered on Rainbow Tie-Dye, so.
It's all good. It's
okay.
All good.
Don't turn off the Twitch. I'm going to talk to Melanie.
No, the Twitch, it's on my phone. I'm still going to watch. I'm just going to go start pouring drinks.
Drinks. I love you.
Yes. I love you too. I love Jesse at Stab. Thank you, Jesse. He's hosting Who Wrote This Shit in October. October 22nd. It's a Friday. So we're going to do a live show of Who Wrote This Shit, which is my game show that is live every single Monday on Twitch, on Facebook, and on YouTube at 6 p.m. Pacific. And yeah. Oh, and he also hosts Drawing a Blank for us, which is
Wednesday
comedians
nights.
playing Pictionary every single Wednesday at 9 p.m. So yeah, I love him. But thank you for letting me just vomit this shit all over your show. I appreciate it. Melanie, I can't wait to hear the shit you have to say about this. I apologize. This is the first version you have of me. I'm way more fun than this, I swear to God. So, okay, you guys go talk. I love your guts.
I love you too.
Love you.
Bye. Peers and Queers, Chelsea Beers. Her information was below her. Send her some coin. Send her some support if you want. Stab's information is above my pretty little head. And I forgot to say this, Chelsea, when I was talking to you, but you've always been real on the show. So if this was your last time, I appreciate that it was real as well. Okay, cool. I'm going to try to clear my emotions for a second and hope my mascara doesn't run and get back to my script. Okay, cool. My guest today, I'm so excited to talk to her, has opened for Mark Maron and Maria Bamford and co-starred with Jim Carrey in Man on the Moon. She has her own comedy special, Wild Animal, that's available on Amazon. She is a comedian, an actress, a filmmaker, and a business owner. Please welcome to the show, Melanie Vesey.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good, Suzette. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat with you.
I'm excited to chat with you too. Do you want to start with just responding to Chelsea's
Oh my
segment?
God. If I could just give Chelsea a hug. I've been there. And I can honestly say I am going to be 50 in September. And I was exactly where she was at right before my 40th birthday. And in those 10 years, I met the love of my life. We've been together 10 years. We've been married 7 years. I also had a 5-year-old son when that was happening. My son is now 16. And I am on the other side of those feelings. And I'm not promising that it's all going to get different. I hate it when people are promised, whatever, but I'm just here to say that it is possible to find love and a happy, peaceful relationship and family life later in life. And I'm wishing that for her. I'm wishing her peace while she faces this challenge, and I hope that she takes care of herself tonight.
I hope she does too. And I think I agree with you. I hate when people are like, "Oh, trust me, it gets better. It always does." I'm like, that's toxic optimism. It is, because then, like, if it doesn't get better, then all of a sudden you're like, "Wait, it got better for everyone but me. What's wrong with me?" But you didn't say that. What I'm noticing is a trend. It might get better for Chelsea because you were in the same situation with a 5-year-old child when you were 40. I'm going to be 38. There's no way for me to have a 5-year-old in the next 2 years. So I'm also a detective here, and I am correct in saying that it could get better for Chelsea, but I'm out of luck because I needed to have I need a 3-year-old son, and I don't have one. So.
I also feel like everyone has their set of issues. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's got their thing that is tailor-made for them that makes life a challenge at that time. And for whatever reason, that is the way that it was for me. And for Chelsea, I'm sure you have your own thing that is tailor-made for you, that feels challenging and daunting, that feels, and you have to have your own process with that journey. Everyone really has something. That's that saying where they're totally like, everyone's dealing with something. They really are, and it's the details might be different, but the feelings are always the same.
Totally. I actually heard a great analogy the other day. We're not all in the same boat. we're all in the same ocean.
Yeah.
But some of us are in a yacht. It's easy. Some of us are in a fucking canoe, like with tide. It's
exactly. Some of us are trying to get the water out of the leaky boat. You
Right.
know what I mean?
And then I expounded on. I was so proud when I heard it. I was like, oh, and some of us are doing the most. Some of us are doing a lot with a little. Like some of us are on that 10-foot canoe and we're doing the best we can, and some of us are on that yacht and we're squandering the opportunities. So like that's a deep analogy, no pun intended.
Exactly. And also, too, then there's that person that doesn't even have a boat that wishes they had your leaky fucking boat. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, there's never a good seat. It's a seat that you have to have that's made for you to figure out whatever those life challenges are. And it is not easy. It is not easy. And it comes with its own thing. So you can have your experience, so you can have your healing, so you can have your reckoning. So you can hopefully come out on the other side of it and be that person that's like, hey, I'm a little bit farther down the line. I'm going to tell you what I did to get through that challenging time, and be that person that can reach back to that person and to say, hey, I'm just going to share with you how I did some tough stuff, and maybe that'll help you today, just for a minute, just for a half hour, for a day or whatever, to get you through to the other side. So, you don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
So couple things. One, I usually wait until the end, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to like meet you in person. But I've decided just now that because I reached out to you to try to book you for my live show, and I still want to do that. The pandemic happened in the middle.
Yeah.
But I'd like to do that, and I'd like Chelsea to be in that show too, just because I feel now like we all need to meet at the same time. And so we're gonna hopefully I can make that happen. I'd like that. And she's saying thank you in the comments on Twitch right now. She's really appreciative. And
yes, I see it. Yes, seeing it.
Okay, you're so good at this. I just forgot. Silly me. So I wrote questions, and one of them is about your exes, because you have some doozies in your history. Do you want to jump to those questions, or do you want to table that?
I mean, it makes so much sense
It does.
right now
It
based
does.
on the way that this all started. And yes, go
Okay.
for it.
So exes suck, and you've had some that sucked, and I'm in that spot where it sucks. Chelsea's in that spot where it sucks, but you are in an awesome spot with your wife. Like I just love watching you post about your family. So this feels inadequate based on what led into it, but like first brag about your wife's new restaurant, because you're so excited for that. And
oh my God. Well, my wife is a gem. She is a goddamn angel. We constantly, the only thing we really, really fight about is who got the better deal. And I'm telling you, it was me. She has to deal with so much baggage that I have. And she's lovely, and she's a chef, and she's having some fantastic career stuff right now. And she's opening a restaurant here in LA called Detroit Vessies. And she named that because when she married me, she took my family name, which is Vesey. So she took my last name. And I have 4 members of my family with the middle name Detroit. We're all originally from Detroit. So my mother changed her middle name to Detroit in the 70s. Then when she had my brothers, she named them Nick Detroit and Joe Detroit. And then I knew when I had a son, it would be Harrison Detroit, which is right here on my chest. Then when I married my wife, she became a Detroit. So now she's named the restaurant Detroit Vessies. So it's a family name, and she's going to kill it. I just feel like the response that we're getting from this is going to be pretty great. I'm really, really proud of her.
So what is a bike cafe? Because it's a bike it's a bike cafe.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I know. So it's a queer owned cafe. It's a bike cafe for people, and we always say for people on and off the bike. I am not on the bike. I don't ride a bike in LA. I'm not somebody who does bike things. I'd rather be sipping an unsweetened iced tea at a cafe. I do not want to be huffing and puffing up a hill on a bike. You know what I mean? It's not my jam.
You said on the bike like it's a drug. Like you're not on the bike. Like,
that is I think it is like a drug. It is a drug. So
it is.
My wife,
It is.
she doesn't drive, with much to my chagrin. A lot of therapy sessions about that. But anyway, so she rides a bike, and she's done AIDS Life Cycle quite a few times now. She's raised thousands and thousands of dollars for AIDS Life Cycle, which is a fantastic foundation to healthcare for LGBTQ community here in LA. And it is a 546-mile bike ride from San Francisco to LA. And I think she's done it 3 or 4 times now. And of course, because of the pandemic, it got paused this year. But I think what happened was when she was thinking about a place that she wanted to work, and I really commend her for this, she thought of like, what are all of my favorite things that she wanted to bring into one place? And she wanted to have a community space for queers, all shapes, sizes, colors, whatever, but also to people that rode bikes, because that's a part of her passion. And she wanted to make sure that the cafe was available for people on bikes, but also not on bikes, because she knows that when she would go in a big group with people on their bike, it would get in the way. So she got a big enough space so there could be like an entrance for people on their bikes and bike parking, and it would be safe for the bikes, but then they could walk through the cafe and relax and what have you. Also, there'd be a little stand for them to fix their bikes and fill it up with air and just, have their little bike world and community that is very tight-knit and very, very loyal. They are a fantastic community and are taking wonderful care of her. It's going to be pretty great.
The way you said little bike world, I know it's not derisive, but I'm laughing because I feel the same way. I'm like, oh, a little bike world. But then also, oh yeah, that's what it was. We talked about people being like wishing they had a leaky boat. Like I'm over here like Leonardo DiCaprio on a piece of wood, driftwood, and you're like, we argue about who got the better end of the deal from dating each other. So like I'd like your leaky boat. That being said, so this is the love of your life, and you, how many, I don't want to say piles of shit because I don't know your exes, but how many challenges did you have to wade through dating wise to get here?
Oh my God. Well, a lot. I mean, it was very, very challenging, relationship stuff, and also having to do, with my sexuality. I came out late. I came out at around 26, 25, 26, which feels late in these days. I mean, my wife came out when she was 13, and, never looked back. I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I didn't see queer people on TV. I didn't know I could be gay. I didn't know I could be gay and happy. I didn't know those things were an option for me. I was so out of touch with my body. I didn't understand that I wasn't enjoying my partners. I didn't understand, I was in such a fog, and I felt like there was a divine intervention that helped me realize that I was queer. And then came out, and my first partner was a female New York City police officer. And this is also probably alluding to some of the challenges that you're thinking about. But I broke it off with her after she decided to become an undercover narcotics officer for the New York City Police Department. I am a sober woman. I'm sober 27 years. And at the time I was sober around, 3-4 years. And I did not feel comfortable knowing that she was going to be buying and selling drugs every day as a part of her job. They were also asking her to drink on the job, which I thought was wildly unsafe. She was also a woman of color. I felt like they were putting her in harm's way. It was very layered. And at one point I just thought, I need to put myself and my recovery before this relationship, which feels like it's getting very not safe for me and my recovery. And so I broke it off with her, and it is a very long story, to which I can't get into completely on this podcast. But And then a year later, she shot me. And so I sustained the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And what that did was it fractured my idea of like, I thought being with a woman was supposed to save me or make me better or complete me in some way. And it made it 1,000 billion times more complicated. And then I questioned my sexuality and went back to men. And then, had my son, and my son's father. There's also kind of a challenging situation there as well, having to do with a lot of overnight fame. My child's father is a season 3 winner of Project Runway. And, he was not famous in April and he was famous by September. And that created a lot of challenges for us personally. And our relationship wasn't able to sustain that. And so we broke it off. And then, I had a couple more relationships before I met my wife. But those 2 big relationships are kind of like the tent poles inside some of my deepest challenges with relationships. And I've done a tremendous amount of work on myself to try and get my feet underneath me. And that's through 12-step programs, getting sober, going to relationship programs, going to food programs, going to money programs, so that I could learn how to be a person on this planet, which is challenging for me. I don't know if that answered your question.
I'm not sure if I asked one. So I think it did. Yeah, no, I knew about those 2 because I couldn't find it when I was prepping for the interview. We talked a lot about this, and it wasn't anywhere that I looked, and I'm like, did we write letters? Like, when was this? Like, how do I know all this? Because I couldn't find it in our Facebook messages. I'm sure it's there. I just missed it. But those.
Well, if you Google me, it comes up. It's
right.
Just,
right.
Yeah.
But I remember you telling me.
Yeah.
And it's just, those are really traumatic things. How do you, in direct response to Chelsea and I talking, how do you keep trusting? How do you, because you got shot. You supported someone who had their dreams come true, and then, like, you didn't say how it ended, but it didn't end with you together.
Yeah, it didn't end well.
Right, it ended poorly. So how do you? Those are awful things. How do you trust the next person?
That's such a good question, Suzette. And I also feel like, this is just my opinion from what I'm seeing from the outside with what Chelsea was saying, but she kept saying, like, I gave, my heart to this person. And there's a part of me that's just totally like, I don't think that that's a defect. I don't think that that is a bad thing. I think that that's actually a beautiful thing. I think that's a wonderful thing. It's just that this wasn't the right person. And what I can say from the outside, because I've been in Chelsea's shoes, I have been there. And had people just plucked out of my life. You know what I mean? It was like that. I couldn't stay with that person. I couldn't bring that person into my home. I couldn't introduce that person to my child. And it almost seemed like the universe was just pulling them right out of my hands. And I like to think about the universe sometimes like I'm a dog on a leash. I don't know if this is the best analogy, but I remember once I rescued a dog, and the dog had mange, and I had to give it a mange bath. However, the dog felt like I was trying to kill it. I was getting it wet. I was putting it in the bath, and the dog was freaking out. And I kept on saying, like, I'm trying to help you. And I feel like sometimes that's what the universe is doing for me. It's like, bitch, I am trying to help you. And I know that it feels bad right now. I know it feels like what you think is happening is I'm hurting you, but what I'm actually doing is helping you. Like when I walk my dog and my dog is lunging for that chicken bone that I know could get lodged in her esophagus or give her a blockage in her intestines and cause me $5,000 to cut it out or make her wildly sick, I yank her chain. I'm like, no, don't go there. And I feel like sometimes that's what the universe is doing for us, but it feels so painful and we just feel unloved or what have you, but it's like, it's almost like it's trying to help. You know what I mean? If that makes sense in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, I hope it does. I told you where I am dating wise, so roughly, like, I hope that's right, because sometimes I just feel like the mangy dog, and I'm just like, ugh, like, I don't know. We'll see. I'll let you know if something good ever happens, but I hope you're right. Because I think that
also too, like, while you're in the meantime place, you know, in that, what feels like, is this thing coming? I think that sometimes, and this is hard to do, but partnering yourself like a partner would partner you. And that means a lot of self-care, a lot of good food, a lot of rest, a lot of like doing what you would want someone to do for you, but you do it for you. And I'm saying that because I'm always I have to talk to myself, because I struggle so much with taking care of myself. It's very difficult it's not my first inclination. I want to punish myself. I want to put bad food in me. You know, of course, drugs and alcohol were a problem for me. I want to hurt myself a lot under the guise of treating myself or helping myself. And it's actually hurting myself. So learning how to take care of myself, I feel like really helped me be a better partner for when my wife did come along, so that I was able to partner her as a whole person and not lean on her for those things that I needed. I was already giving them to myself when she showed up.
I'm gonna hide behind my fan, because I not that I'm trying to promote Absolute. Sorry, Absolute. They're like, no, please, whatever. That's like, I used to be a homemaker before I was divorced, and I cooked a lot. We ate out a lot too, because we had favorite Thai restaurants, and I didn't make Thai.
Oh, of course.
But I cooked 4 nights a week, and like I'm Italian, so like big, like this would be for 20 people, but there's just 2 of us, so we're gonna have leftovers. So I hope that's okay.
Yum.
Right? No, I'm a good cook. I'm a good baker. Since then, I just don't want to cook for just me, which I could, but I don't like my kitchen. I miss my kitchen in my home. I don't like this kitchen, and I don't want to cook alone because it's so sad, and I don't take care of myself sleep-wise. So I just feel very embarrassed, because you're like, that's what you need to do, and I'm over here like, but nobody's gonna love me, and you're like, well, maybe because you're not doing things that maybe you're leaning too much on someone else. So that's good advice that I will take. And also, I'll say on behalf of Chelsea, she doesn't take a lot of days off. She's trying to, but she's trying to work as much as she can and have this great career. So it's hard for her to say, oh, I'm going to take a day off. I'm going to take
my God,
self-care.
Absolutely. I so hear that. And believe me, I have a business, and I have a wife and a son and a dog and a career, and I mean, so many chapters of my life that need my attention at all times. I really understand being overwhelmed, but in doing the small things that I can for myself, it really is very challenging, but it's so important.
I am so glad that you got to your wife. and
Same.
And, right. And I can't wait to see how Detroit Vessies does. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. And you saw in the chat that Sacramento would like one of these, so maybe you guys can expand.
Well, bike cafes, I feel like, and also so many people are like giving up, their cars, and I think also too, with the pandemic, I think people got back on, bikes and exercise and stuff like that to get outside to help with their mental health. And so I feel like there's been a resurgence with the bike community.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Sacramento changed like half the lanes in Midtown.
Oh,
Midtown is our cool spot.
Awesome.
Right. They took out a whole lane of traffic, and they were like, no, this is parking now and bike lane. And I'm not in love with that, because I'm not a bike person. But
it makes it much safer is what it does. And Thank God. And more people would do it, and more people would get that exercise if I felt like it was safer. I rode my bike in New York City, but it's here, the hills and all that stuff. Like, I don't have the energy for it.
Well, if you're in Sacramento, it's very flat, so maybe you could bike ride together.
Oh yeah,
here. Yeah,
cool.
It's like very Midwest how flat it is here.
Nice.
Okay. Your career is prolific. Among all the super amazing, awesome stuff that, co-starring with Jim Carrey and opening for Mark Maron, tweeting for Tig Notaro. You've been Comedian of the Week on Jackie Kashian and Lori Kilmartin's podcast. Are you a real person?
What? Yes.
Okay. Because sometimes there's those people they're like really attractive and they're doctors and like they have a yacht and like they're well spoken and they can sing and they're champion ballroom dancers, and you're like, I can microwave my tater tots and they almost taste like they came out of the oven, and you feel substandard. So like, you've done so many amazing things. What's the most bizarre experience you've had in entertainment?
Oh my gosh. I would have to say, as far as like bizarre when it comes to comedy is I'm on season 2 of Laugh After Dark, which is currently available on Amazon. You guys can watch it. It's very funny. It's segments of comedians. I'm on season 2, episode 4, if you guys want to watch. Anyway, I was workshopping that material because I had filmed my comedy special, and I didn't have 10 new minutes, even though I got this gig, and I was like, shit. And I was running all over town, and I had to workshop this material, and I only workshopped it here in LA. And so there were 2 Trump jokes in that set. And I was very lulled into thinking that everybody would love these Trump jokes. Then I went to the Palm Springs Comedy Festival, and I was contacted by a booker out there who said, hey, I would love for you to come perform at my comedy show. And I was like, tell me about your comedy show. And he said, well, it's clothing optional. And I said, what the fuck does that mean? And so he was like, well, you can wear clothes, but the audience will be naked. And I was like, no. I'm like, comedy is hard enough. Like, I don't need to see the bits. You know what I mean? Like, it's just too challenging.
You want to tell the bits. You want to tell the bits, not see the bits.
So I was like, no, I'm not interested. It also just felt a little like I don't know, in the Me Too, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know about this. So he was like, well, if you have any other friends that want to do the show. So I hopped into like a private Facebook group that I have with a bunch of other, comedians. And I said, hey, someone told me about this, wants me to book me on this clothing optional show. If you guys are interested. They all wanted to do it. I want to do the show, and I want to do the show, and I want to do the show, and I want to do the show. And then because I have FOMO in every area of my life, I was like, well, I want to do the show. And then I felt immediately fucking left out. So I was like, you know what, bitch, let's just do it for the comedy. So I went and I did the show. While I was doing the show, yes, everyone was naked, day is long, naked. I was wearing clothes. The comedians were wearing clothes. Some of the comedians, not all the comedians. The comedians I was with were wearing clothes. I started to tell my 2 Trump jokes, and I started to tell my Trump joke. And a woman in the front row looks at me and she goes, oh, you fucked up now. And I was like, and then I realized Trump voters, naked Trump voters is what I was performing for. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I'm sure you've had that moment when you're on stage and you just are like, fuck. And then you're like falling down the elevator shaft, like, oh, like how the fuck am I going to save this? And I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't recognize you without your regalia. And then, and I then was able to turn it around, and clearly they were Bush supporters, and I was able to then just pivot and tell a different story. I was able to get them back, but I felt very uncomfortable, and there was a part of my mind that just does not understand that how I got into that situation. Like I just thought Palm Springs, and I was like, wouldn't that be queer? Wouldn't that be like my people? Like, I know, right? Like, I was so confused about like the Palm Springs and then Republican, but now I'm like, it totally makes sense. But it just stretched out a part of my brain that I didn't know was there. So that, I guess, might be the story.
I always think Palm Springs is like gay. It's gay Boca. I mean, obviously Boca's for Jews, but like it's gay Boca. Like it's where gays go to retire.
I'm gonna be shooting fish in a barrel. This is gonna be amazing. It was the exact opposite, Suzette. And I then realized that I'm like, when I'm in LA and I'm getting, applause breaks for, a Trump joke, you take one step outside of LA, you better think again about how your material is going to work. But I didn't know that about the material because I'd only performed it for a very short period of time in LA. I hadn't tested it in other demographics, other areas. So I learned quick.
I have a kind of similar story. Like I was at a much different place. I'm not sure I'll ever be in as cool a place as you. And that's not a lot of people are like, you're too self-deprecating. No, you're in a really cool place. I'd been doing comedy for like 3 months, and I got booked on this show for 12 minutes, 15 minutes, which I did not have at that time.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Not even close. And I went, do you know anything about the Sacramento area?
I don't.
Okay. So the show was in Roseville, which is a conservative, very white, very conservative area of Sacramento. Not extremely wealthy, just very conservative. And I went in a wedding dress because I was joking that I wanted to dress for the job that I want, not the job that I had. Right. And so I'm standing there in a wedding dress with the bouquet, and the comic before me said, "How many of you guys voted for Trump?" And he's actually my friend, and the comic before me. And 75% of the crowd raised their hand, but I could tell from the other 25% that they also voted for Trump, but they just didn't want to raise their hand because they were like too cool. And I remember just like stepping backwards in my wedding dress, hoping I didn't fall, and thinking like, this is not my show. They're not gonna like me. It was a good lesson that I got.
So were you able, if I could jump in, were you able to turn it around in some way? Were you able to get like some laughs from it, or did it just clip you? I've had that happen where you just get so clipped that you can't come back from it. Were you able to at least do your set and dig in? Yeah,
I got some laughs, and I wish I had the opportunity now, being where I am. I'm four-ish years in. I wish I could do it now, because now I have the tools in my bag to actually figure it, like work through it. But back then I just didn't. I made it through 12 minutes, and I gutted through as much as I could, and I didn't give up, and it wasn't terrible. Like, I still wouldn't say it's my worst set I've ever done. The weird thing was, in the crowd, it had old people, young people, men, women. The people that became my supporters were the old women and the young men. And I was so confused by that, because the young girls hated me. And I was like, I didn't do anything to you. So I just like to tell myself that, like, I'm pretty, and maybe it was just like that. Like, they were just like hating me because like I was pretty, but I don't. And then like the old men, they also were very like, no, go away. So, you know, I it's something that I think about a lot. I think about that set because I learned things. You know, I learned, honestly, just to keep going. Like, don't stop.
Yeah, and you have to learn, you know, it really is trial by fire, and you have to learn some comebacks for that situation. So now when I tell those Trump jokes, I then follow it up with that story, with the punchlines inserted into it. And I have figured out how to navigate that, and also to how to read the room. You know what I mean? It just taught me. It's like I had to learn how to swim because I was in the deep end. And I think that that's how you become a better performer. It's just, you have to do it. Unfortunately, you can't just practice in a closet. You have to do it and be witnessed by others, which is, what we call bombing, which is very, it can feel very painful. But if you're not bombing, you're not figuring it out. You know what I mean? So it's a part of it, and there's no shame in that game.
Well, I'm glad that it worked out eventually, and anyone that's done comedy can hear that woman saying, "Oh, you fucked up now," because I think we've all had somebody say something like that, and you're like, shit. Like,
oh my God, the blood just draining from my body. Like, just.
At least you had clothes on, so like no one could see the blood draining from your, you getting pale. I can't imagine doing a show for naked people.
I don't. Here's the thing: they were actually like a pretty great crowd until I put my foot in my mouth. You know what I mean? They were actually very engaged. And now I just understand with how to maybe test the room maybe a little bit more when I am not sure about where I'm at. Yeah. I don't know if I would. I mean, if the money's right, I'll do it again. You know what I mean? I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at some moolah.
No, of course not. But you did get that tool of like, okay, I'm gonna test. I'm gonna. Like, and that's something that like I've kind of gotten, like, I'll like, oh, I want to tell this joke, but I know if I tell this joke and it goes well, I can tell this joke, and then if I tell this joke, I can tell this joke, and then maybe I could tell this one, and at least if this one goes bad, all those other ones went okay. So
yes.
So what's the best experience that stand-up and entertainment has given? Well, I guess entertainment. It doesn't have to be stand-up.
The best experience, I mean, I've had some pretty epic, like I said, I co-starred with Jim Carrey in Man on the Moon, and that movie was directed by Milos Forman, who's a 2-time Academy Award winning director. He directed Amadeus and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Hair, and he has unfortunately passed. However, he was an icon. And I got to be on the Saturday Night Live set. I got to, do all the things, fly first class and meet the entire cast of Taxi. And a lot of people are probably don't even know what that is anymore, but it was pretty iconic for me.
I do. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that was incredibly validating for me at the time to be in the same room, to be chosen by these people to share an experience with them, was something where I felt like, oh, I'm doing the right thing. This is what I am meant for. This is what I'm made for. However, my career was absolutely derailed by, being shot. So it's been a challenge because I was given this really beautiful, incredible gift very early on. However, that was, very derailed, which is why it's been very, very painful for me to sometimes keep my feet underneath me inside of a creative career where the rejection is staggering. It's staggering. And to quote Margaret Cho, she has a special called I Choose Me. And it's like, I think it's a special, but it's like, instead of waiting for somebody else to choose me, waiting for somebody else to validate me, it's like, I'm going to choose myself, which, like I said, does not come natural to me. You know what I mean? I'm a child of, I'm a Gen X. I'm a child of neglect. I'm a child of latchkey. I'm a child of being alone. And not given the attention that I need. So, it's been a very deep challenge over time. However, I have this little saying where, like, if I'm not in creation, I'm in destruction. And when I've learned that if I'm not in the active process of creating something, I am usually on the wrong side of the street. I'm usually in a very not a good place. Everyone in my house knows that too. Like everybody's like, you got to do some shows. And that's, the pandemic's been very challenging for me because I haven't been able to perform live. I have performed on Twitch. I had a weekly show. I've performed on Zoom many times. It is just not the same thing. And I know that my mental health has taken a huge, huge hit. And it's been hard to get back because I'm not doing the thing that I love all the time, which means I'm not at top performing level, which then makes me not want to do it, which makes me not perform well, which makes me not want to do it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, oh. So in answer to your question, I think it was just, I think it was really having, some really incredible people kind of bless me to, move forward in this life as an artist.
That is amazing. I'm sorry that it was derailed, but I'm also glad that you got the opportunity when you did.
Yes.
Because, if it had come, a year later, maybe you don't get it. So.
Exactly.
So you've also, in addition to acting and stand-up, you've also written, produced, and directed 3 short films. So I know a little bit about entertainment and filmmaking. What's the hardest thing? And because some people would probably say writing. Some people don't like writing. But what do you think is hardest, writing, producing, or directing?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think okay. I think it's I feel like entertainment business is kind of like having tattoos, because everybody wants to talk to you about how much it hurts. They're like, "Oh, didn't that hurt?" And they say that the best painkiller for getting a tattoo is just wanting it. You're gonna put up with the pain to get it. You know what I mean? Like everyone's like, "Oh, this area is the most painful, and this area is the most painful, and this is the most painful," and I'm like, it's all painful. Don't get me fucking wrong. It is all fucking painful. But I wanted to do it. And I feel like when it comes to entertainment, I feel like people want to talk about how hard it is, and it's almost like I don't even fucking think about it. It's like, yes, I think that the rejection is probably chipping away at my fucking soul and is ruining me in some fucking way, but like I don't know. I think I need comedy, and I need acting, and I need filmmaking. I think I need it more than it needs me. I think that I don't even, it doesn't even cross my mind how hard it is. People are like, "Oh my God, I could never get up in front of an audience." And I'm like, that doesn't even cross. Do I get nervous? Absolutely. But does it cross my mind, like, to stop me? Like, no. Like, well, I just go do it. You know what I mean? And, so I would have to say, as far as like, what's the hardest part? Like, I just wanted to tell those stories. And the reason why I even got into filmmaking was because I had started stand-up comedy about, 17, 18 years ago. But when I got pregnant with my son, I couldn't continue to perform comedy. I didn't have a partner that was supporting me to go out at night. It's a nighttime gig. It's not something that you can do just once in a while. You have to practice it and get good at it and work out material. It is not a drop-in type. You can't just be a tourist with comedy. It's very difficult. So I've always been a storyteller, and I was like, well, I'll just tell these stories through making films. And it was a medium that I was able to control around the schedule of having a child. And so that's how my filmmaking happened. I would love to get back to it. It's just one of these things where it's like I can only focus on one kind of project at a time. And comedy right now is what's kind of on the forefront. However, I directed my own comedy special. So I take those tools that I've learned and apply them to everything. I don't know what I would say would be the hardest part. I think it's all fucking hard, but I think it's all a part of the process of making a story happen.
So this is backtracking a little bit, but I'm trying to keep up because we're covering a ton of ground. Rejection as an actor, it happens more than not, way more than not. Like it's a constant rejection when you go to auditions. And comedy is, there's rejection. I think less than there is as an actor, but there's also an element of rejection when you bomb, when you don't get booked, when you have a great show and somebody in the crowd comes up and says, and you're okay, well, great. Now I'm thinking about the one person.
Of course, yes.
But going back to dating, why does that rejection hurt so much more?
Well, I have I've been given some pretty amazing mentors in my life. And I would have to say that the most prolific thing that one of my mentors said to me was because I was at that stage that Chelsea is currently at. I was about to turn 40. I had a small child. My last partner broke off our engagement. Unfortunately, they had some very severe mental health issues. And I got to the point where I was like, I think this is impossible. Like, I don't think this is going to work for me. I don't think anyone is ever going to want to marry me. And I really wanted to get married. I wanted like marriage. You know what I mean? That was very important to me. And I felt like because I had done all of this like work on myself, I was like, at the time I was, let's see, if it was 10 years ago, I was 17 years sober. I was like, I can't date somebody that like doesn't have that doesn't have their drinking situation under control. I also can't date someone who's like new in recovery. Like I was like, oh my God, that's too difficult. I have a child who wants to deal with somebody else's child. I couldn't imagine that someone would want to fucking like be a step parent. And then also too because I was dating women, I was like, even though I was dating women, I got a lot of like, you know, queer people who didn't like children and very, very vocal about it, which was so painful to feel like that was also a hindrance in my life. And then, you know, I had all this baggage, you know what I mean? I was a gun violence survivor. I have complex PTSD. I can sometimes not be a fucking walk in the park. I just felt like, oh my God, there is no way that this is going to fucking work for me. And this amazing mentor said to me, hey, Melanie, you don't need 1 million. You just need one. You just need one person. And that really helped me. And I take that one sentence and I apply it to everything, because I'm sure, Suzette, you've been in situations where that one phone call, that one text message, that one person was able to carry that baton for you and to make it different. You know what I mean? And I'm sure anybody who's watching this, we've all gotten that one phone call where you're like, yes, I got it. You know what I mean? Or that one text message where you're like, yes, it's happening. You know what I mean? Like, you just need one. And I have a theory that I'm just totally like, as long as one person is on board with whatever I'm doing, whether it's a comedy show, whether it's a movie I'm making, whether it's, you know, a friendship or whatever, and no matter whatever it is, if I have as long as I have one person who's willing to help me, I'm doing okay. And I think in this world of social media and everyone's got millions of followers and all of this stuff about the numbers and the engagement and the numbers and all of that stuff, I'm like, bitch, you just need one, because that one person did come for me. And it is just one person. You don't need 5. You don't need them all to work. You just need one to work. That's it. Just one. And I feel like sometimes that helps me get the numbers right in my head, because my head can blow it all out of fucking proportion.
I definitely think that applies to acting. I don't know if I'd say stand up, because if just one person, although I will say, like, I'm guilty of telling jokes to one person in the crowd. I'm like when it's going well, and I'm like, yes. I know this one person, and it's just a guilty pleasure of mine to say something to make that one person laugh.
Oh my God, yes.
And everyone else in the crowd is going to be like, what the fuck is so funny? And that makes me so happy. And so that's like, I'll slip that in. So I guess in that way I am defeating myself by saying maybe comedy isn't the one. But you're right. Sometimes one person's validation, support, opportunity, hand is enough to lift you up and keep you going.
Well, I mean, but then in the audience, or or you just have one booker who's just totally like, "Hey, you want to come do my show?" And then it's like, and then it's just it's just hopping along. As long as I have one kind of like person, like I'm repeating myself, but it's like I always like for every show that I do, I get booked on another show. I get booked, it's just, and sometimes it's like that, and I feel like we feel like if it's not enough, and I think this comes from a very addicty side of me, because I want everything to feel like $1 million, and I want it to feel like a tidal wave of attention. It's really just one person that's saying like, "Hey, will you come do this? You know what I mean? Will you come do that?" And I don't worry about the judgment of whether or not is this big enough for me. I bring it no matter what I'm doing, and I'm like, and if that one person, I've made that connection with that one person, that's how you build a fantastic, beautiful, wonderful tribe of people who fucking like you. It's one person at a time, I feel like sometimes.
I hope Chelsea gets that one person very soon.
I hope so too.
Live comedy. What do you like about it?
Oh my gosh. I think it's truly the laughter. I'm truly there for the laughter, and I say that coming off of a year of almost not hearing one drop of laughter. I have a joke where I'm like, everyone's like, "Oh, but you have comedy on Zoom," and I'm like, I don't know if you've ever done comedy on Zoom. It's kind of like doing coke that's been stepped on 10 times. Like, I don't feel it. Are you feeling it? I don't feel it, but we're going to do all of it because we have faith that it's going to kick in at some point, like doing comedy on Zoom. It's like, yes, I'm going through the motions. Yes, I'm saying the words, but I am not getting what I am truly there to receive, which sounds kind of selfish, but your enjoyment, your laughter, and to not hear that has been very, very painful. So I have a pretty busy week coming up. I'm in the Burbank Comedy Festival this week, and I have 3 live shows. I'm also doing a show that's like a Detroit transplant show. So I think I've got 4 in-person shows this week. And I'm so nervous because I'm like, I haven't performed live. I'm like, does my material work anymore? Like, I'm so like, I'm a little jacked up about it. First, I'm scared of, I'm fully vaccinated, but I'm also scared of, breakthrough cases. So my head is all over the place with doing these shows. And, but yeah, it's just, all the mishigas aside with comedy and the ups and being a woman and gay and how hard it is and all the bizarreness, it's truly just to make people laugh is why I do it.
Yeah, that's been a recruit. This is the 67th episode, I think, and that's anytime I interview a comic and sometimes drag queens, that's a recurring thing where it's like we do this because, and not in like a sad, pathetic way, but we need to do it. It's almost pathological that we have to perform.
Yes.
And like I'll tell jokes to people, and not in like a cheesy way, but like to the checker at the that's my favorite open mic is the grocery store line. And like I'm not telling like bad puns. I'm just trying to figure out a way to like get that person to smile in the mundaneness of their day. And if I like, it's the hardest mic I've ever done because like they hate everything and you have about 5 seconds before they hate you too. And it's like, okay, cool. Let me try that. So,
oh my God, killing at the grocery store, killing at the hair salon, killing at the nail salon. Misdirected comedy energy can be fabulous. You know what I mean? Like making that person, your barista at Starbucks, fucking laugh, making the person at the drive-thru laugh. It's my favorite thing. But then sometimes I sound crazy as hell. I just sound like an absolute crazy person. Nobody's getting it. And then I'm like, you know what I mean? But I love it. And yes, and I do feel like it comes from a very sad, sick place inside of me that needs that attention and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean that's
I think you're good at it and you're successful. So we're not gonna say it's a sad, sick place. Like if you were bad at it, and you weren't successful at all, and I'm definitely not one of those open micers. I've seen them. Yeah. Then it's sad. But if you,
I think my drive sometimes feels not healthy. I think that's what I mean. I feel like my drive sometimes is sometimes comes from a not secure place, sometimes needing the attention. And like I said, like if I'm not doing it, my mental health really kind of suffers. Like it's a very strange thing. And I think that in the pandemic, by it all kind of going away, I learned a lot about how much it does serve my life and how much I truly need it. I truly need it to be okay. I'm not here. And sometimes I've said from stage, like, I don't want to be here. I have to be here. Like this is terrible, like, but here it is,
Oh no, I was driving to a show with a touring headliner 3 weeks ago, and we were talking about comedy, and he said, you can quit anytime you want. And I was like,
oh my God, yes.
No, I can't. That's the problem. Like I understand what you're saying, but like I need to do it. Like I need to, if for no other reason, like I just can't let myself down, like, because I know I'm good enough to keep doing it. So I have to keep doing it, because if I don't, then I'm saying I wasn't good enough, which I'll never agree with. So
yes.
What do you hate about live comedy?
Oh, I know this is probably going to sound crazy. I'm not a good traveler. I hate traveling. I hate driving long distances. I don't like being on planes. I am not a very good traveler. And so sometimes I feel like I could maybe do better if I was a better traveler, but I've had situations where I've traveled too far to get someplace, and it has completely ruined my performance. I am rattled from driving with somebody who drives crazy. I have been, I'm not a very good traveler, and comedy needs you to be in person for it to be live comedy. And that's one thing I really hate about it. I really wish that it was easier to get to venues. I'm just kind of like, please, scientists, make transporting
teleportation,
my molecules.
Yeah,
get on it. I would have to say, I mean, God, there's a lot I feel like that could probably be said about how challenging it is. But I feel like it all kind of comes along with the package of the reward of being able to share with an audience on stage, difficult personalities, being the only woman or the only queer person on a lineup, you know what I mean? All of that kind of stuff, which kind of course comes along with it. It's very much a talking point. But I don't know. I just keep doing it, whether I'm a glutton for punishment or not. I don't know.
Maybe you've heard people say like it's really hard to book a woman or a queer comedian. So like that's probably why you're the only one in some of those lineups, just because it's so difficult.
I don't know if it is though. I mean, I book shows. I just feel like I'm like I don't think you're working hard enough to book people. I think that there are plenty of women, plenty of people of color, plenty queer people who are fucking talented and with fucking credits that are available to work. And it drives me crazy, that kind of like, well, nobody was available, and I'm like, well, you're not fucking looking hard enough. There are entire threads on Twitter of like, hey, are you having a hard time booking your show? These are all, female, queer, people of color, and all the variations in between. Here's a list of all the people, bookers in the world. It doesn't need to be 5 dudes, cisgender, whatever, in flannel shirts. It doesn't have to be that. It's okay.
Yeah. And one striped shirt doesn't make it diverse. That's something. I mean, I think I comedian at one level, but I think I produce at a much higher level, and my lineups are really. I'm really proud of them. So I said that very eye rolly.
Yes, exactly.
I'm sick of people saying that, and I'm like, what? It's hard for you, but not me. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Keep complaining and not doing it, but don't.
Exactly.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
What's the most interesting experience stand-up has given you?
It's interesting that what popped into my head immediately was this is all just kind of based on the relationship thread that seems to has been going through this conversation, this interview.
Mm-hmm.
I had a very a challenging relationship. When I moved to LA, I got into a relationship with a woman who, very beautiful, very talented, very wonderful, however, was unable to stay sober and was a heroin addict, and it was all very challenging. But she was, she had some sort of level of fame. And when we broke up, I felt like everybody, of course, wanted to keep her in the relationship because they could help. It can be very, and this is just my judgment, this is a very blanket statement, everybody, what I'm about to say, but like sometimes I feel like, especially in places like LA, it's like it's all kind of like who you know, and people don't want to ruin those relationships, even if whatever, because they want to stay connected to those people. And I've experienced this a couple times where it's like, oh, the person is technically more famous than I am, and that I am then kind of discarded. That's my opinion. That's how I felt at the time. And it was very challenging because I just moved to LA and I felt like I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. And it was very painful and damaging, that relationship. And that person had said to me that I was embarrassing, and that had said some very, very painful things to me. Very shameful. And I was very embarrassed, and I was very like hurt by that whole thing. I also wasn't good enough to go with them to any events. You know what I mean? Like I was kind of treated like the person that wasn't worthy. And so the whole thing was just painful top to bottom. But then, many years later, that person was in the audience at a comedy show. And when they walked in, I was like, oh, fuck. Like I was so worried that I was going to bomb in front of this person, because that person, you know that one ex that just like has that power over you, that when they walk in a room, you just fucking, even if you're like awesome and you're owning it, you just change. And you're like, I don't know if I can fucking keep my shit together. You know what I mean? But what ended up happening was I fucking crushed that night. And I audio record every set so I can hear it back, because I can't do the set and listen at the same time. Like I don't have any way of gauging how it went. And I just know that when I was in the car on the way home and I was listening and I could hear her laugh specifically, and she even laughed at some nuanced stuff that like they didn't get, and it was so healing to fucking like turn that bitch around. You know what I mean? It was like, this was somebody who fucking like took the wind out of that I let take the fucking wind out of my fucking sails, that I let fucking have power over me, and I was able to just get it back. And it took 10 years. It wasn't like 6 months later. It was fucking 10 years later, but I was in my element doing my thing, and I fucking killed, and it felt so fucking good. And I think that was probably one of like just, and that's not like being on the Tonight Show. That's just a personal win for me. Do you know what I mean? Like that was just like a personal thing that just felt so fucking good to kind of like, to feel that, to have that come full circle, to put that to bed.
No, I totally get what you mean, because like I said, I get a good level of validation from having a good set and then taking a weird detour for 30 seconds and telling an inside joke for one person, an ex, someone I'm currently dating. One time my psychiatrist came to my show and I just told a joke that only my psychiatrist was going to laugh at. So like I've never had an ex that had that power over me come to a show, but I can only imagine how awesome that would be. So I'm glad. And 10 years later is, I mean, revenge is, they say revenge. I don't think revenge is best served cold. I like my revenge very hot and immediate. But that validation, whether it's 10 years later or 6 months later, had to feel amazing.
Oh my God. I mean, that's why I'm bringing it up now.
Right.
I mean, they say don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle. You know what I mean? Sometimes that shit is far down the road, and hang in there. You know what I mean? That's always the message. It's like hang in there.
Especially if you have a 5-year-old son. Patterns. So streaming comedy is not live comedy. It's just not. Is there anything that you like more about streaming I'm going to just go ahead and guess that you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to travel.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I'm sitting here, I put on a little corset and I'm in my jogging pants that I went on a hike with my wife at my wife is in the next room making dinner. I didn't have to fucking drive anywhere. I mean, for me, that is like a win that I don't have to go anywhere. However, it absolutely neuters the experience because I don't have an audience to connect with and laugh with and engage with, which is, I'm a person that needs to connect. What I do like also about streaming comedy is I get to be exposed and meet people not in my local area. You know what I mean? Like it's helped me grow an audience with people all over America in the world. It's helped me stay connected. There were a lot of comedians that were very down on Zoom and they didn't want to do Zoom shows, and I completely understand and I respect their decision. I, however, didn't have the luxury to just say, "Oh, I'm not going to do comedy for fucking a year and a half or whatever." I had to keep going, and it helped me stay connected to other comics and network and keep those relationships going. It helped me hone those jokes over time, and I still have those jokes. Like, so I'm putting those jokes together, and now this week I'm going to be putting them up in front of a live audience, so we'll see how they go, what works, what doesn't work. It's a fucking process. And I've made some great relationships with people in the Twitch world. I perform on Comedy Hub regularly. I'm on your show, your channel. Like, I feel like the streaming world, and I also feel like this is its own medium and craft. Being able to perform in a vacuum is its own thing. And I feel like I would be very irresponsible to not figure out how to do this and be comfortable with it, because I actually made great money over the pandemic by performing. I made more money performing over the pandemic on streaming than I did live and in person the year before. So I think there's a lot of benefits, but it's not perfect. It's not a perfect scenario.
Well, congratulations on that. That's really awesome that it was profitable. But you hit the nail on the head. That's what bothered me so much, because I never thought, and sometimes I do have a much longer monologue on the show. I never thought I wanted to do streaming comedy because I don't think I'm there. I don't think I'm good enough to sit in front of a webcam and tell my jokes without getting any sort of feedback, no feedback at all. And like, because that feedback gives me, it's a game of hot and cold. I know it. Okay, cool. You like that? Let me tell more jokes like that. Oh, you didn't like that? Let me go the other way. So so I've stressed to people, like, don't treat this like it's live stand-up, because it's not. Find something else that you can do. If you can't do, like I couldn't do that. So I was like, well, what can I do? I can talk to people. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do, because this is a different medium and you can't treat it the same, because you're not going to get the same result. It's not the same thing at all. So I think you definitely hit the nail on the head by saying it's a different medium.
Yeah.
Are you going to keep doing it now that it's like the hokey pokey. We're in, we're out, we're in, we're out.
Oh my God. I know. Seriously, what is happening? I am actually. And I am because, like I said, the past couple weeks, and I maybe your listeners or viewers feel the same way. The past couple weeks have been especially difficult. I mean, the beginning of the summer, I felt like I got vaccinated. My wife and my kid and I went to New York City, and we were walking around eating beautiful food, and like it was almost just totally like, oh, it's all over. And then it was like, what? You know what I mean? And this thing came around, and I'm like, well, now what? And my kid has friends who have gotten COVID, and kids who are vaccinated getting COVID. I've had a ton of people in the comedy community specifically double vaccinated, getting sick, getting COVID, and I'm like, fuck, bitch, what? Like, I don't know what to think of this. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm I'm very concerned for my health, but also too, like I said, this is kind of like a balancing act because I do need to do it to feel good, but am I putting myself at some sort of risk? And so, and I also have some exciting stuff happening this week. I got a small part on a TV show and it's going to be airing this week. And it's like, and I want to celebrate that. And I want to celebrate that with more shows. And if this was a real world, not with the pandemic, and I have this TV show that's coming out this week, I would be booked solid for like as long. I mean, I would be fucking texting and emailing everybody, but I'm like, who's doing shows? And do I only do outdoor shows? Do I do indoor shows? How? And they're all like, well, you know, indoors they're wearing masks. And I'm like, not at comedy clubs, they're not. They're fucking eating and drinking. Everyone's mask comes right off. I'm like, I don't even know what to make of it. And so it's just been, my head has been spinning. So to get back to what you were saying, like I am absolutely fine with going back to doing streaming comedy if that's what I need to do to keep my personal balancing act in line with my mental health and my career. It's the only thing I have, you know what I mean, as far as like, you know, being a person and being a good person in my life.
It is a balancing act. It's very shaky. Fiddler on the Roof is coming to mind, because we're all just kind of trying to play our music and balance on the roof right now, and it's but you know, good for you, congratulations. I say this with great admiration. It seems like so far you've made this work challenge of the pandemic your bitch. I don't want to say the pandemic because I mean, I've had more success during the pandemic than I ever had before, and I don't want to celebrate the pandemic, but like it's about figuring out how to make it work for you, and it's also a bummer because you want to translate that into a post-pandemic world and it's not there yet. So I hope it is. I hope it is for you when it happens. One thing that that the internet's fine for you, and you have and maybe I'm presuming and I'm wrong, but you're great at promotions. Like you run a business, a promotional consulting business. You don't need face-to-face. You can do that over the internet, right?
Oh my God, yeah. All of my clients are over Zoom. I used to meet people in person if they lived in LA. I would meet them, you know, at a cafe or at their office or what have you. But now it's all on Zoom, and I have, you know, East Coast, West Coast, people all over America, as some people in Europe that I work with. Absolutely.
What's some promotional advice that you can give away? Because this is your business, so I'm not asking you to give great stuff here, but what's something that you can give for free to people, just like a taste?
Oh my God. I can just say that, like, so my company's called Promotional Rescue. This is my little, like, you know, thing behind me here. You get all the information about it at promotionalrescue.com. I have a talk show called Promotional Rescue Talk Show, where I've interviewed Mark Maron, Margaret Cho, John Roberts from Bob's Burgers. I feel like promotion is this very kind of like not really talked about, because everybody loves to talk shit about how terrible it is to be self-promoting. People love to talk shit about how terrible social media is. But if you are an artist or even a creative small business owner, like you are a creative person, but you also have a business, and you haven't embraced promotion, it's a challenge. You have to be online. You have to have content online. You have to have content that's easy for an audience to connect with so that you can earn and make money from it. And I would have to say that, like, the biggest regret that I have in my life, having to face my challenges, is retracting from being visible. And I feel like being visible has so helped me as a person. Like I said in the beginning of this conversation, I didn't know I could be gay. I didn't know I could be gay and happy. I didn't know I could be gay, happy, and fucking cool. I didn't know that shit existed because I never fucking saw it. And I feel like being a visible person to say, hey, you don't have to be just like me, but you can listen to what I've experienced and said, oh my gosh, I too can get through something very challenging. I can come out on the other end. I can be exactly who I want to be and be okay with myself. That's usually my only message to people. And I feel like when being visible with your art and also too with your business, so that you earn from it, so that you are having a healthy relationship to it. Having a healthy relationship to promotion is very tricky. It brings up a lot of feelings for people. I mean, I'm often in sessions with clients where they are crying because they are scared. They're scared to release their comedy special. They're scared to release their music. They're scared to release those photos they just took. What are people going to think of me and all of that stuff? It drives people fucking crazy. And I'm there to kind of like hold their hand through the process, because usually what's on the other side of that is something pretty beautiful, where people are like, oh my God, I love your album, or I love your comedy special. That video was so funny. That was so beautiful. Those photos are so fantastic. And it's usually fear of just not having the experience yet. And then once they get the experience and learn how to do it, that's usually what I'm there for. So I teach people how to promote themselves without feeling gross, because feeling gross is usually how people describe it. And I'm trying to unhook that from people so that they can thrive in their creative world, so that they can make money and put more into their machine and feel good about it, get that validation that they deserve.
Well, and you have great context for gross, because you were in a I don't want to say a room, but you were in a crowd of naked Trump supporters. So you're like, look, I've seen gross, and this is not gross.
I have seen gross.
Yeah. Promotion. It sounds like you're a psychiatrist in a way. Do you ever feel like that?
Oh my God, it's so funny that you say that. So that's essentially how I got the name of my business. So when I first started I started doing traditional PR at a record label, and my boss decided to sell the company, and I just thought I would work at another record label. And then I had all these friends that were like, I need you. And I was like, okay, well, I can start teaching you how to do this, because people couldn't afford publicist prices. That's $3,000 to $5,000 a month. That's on the cheaper side with, 3-month guarantee. It's expensive. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I could teach you how to do this stuff and save you some bread. I'm still making plenty of money, and everybody's happy. So I had to be in conversations with like the head of Bravo and like all these like fancy people. And I just had to throw a company together really fast. And I just called it my name, Melanie Vesey Studio. But when I would tell people, I'm like, oh, they're like, what's your company? I'm like, oh, it's Melanie Vesey Studio. And they would just be like, well, what's that? They didn't understand what it was. And then I'd do all of this explaining about what I do. And I just noticed that when people would come to me, they were always in some sort of duress, whether they had released a project and it wasn't doing well, or they were scared about releasing a project. So they were either in one of two camps. They'd either release the project or they didn't know how to release the project. But they, in both circumstances, they were scared and they didn't know how to handle it. And also too, promotional rescue is also the first two letters of PR. And I was like, I'm not just doing PR. I am literally helping artists and creative people bridge the gap between how they have their project, get it out of their minds, onto their hard drives, and then into the world and feel good about it. And I do feel like I help people on an emotional level, because it is, if people are so triggered by it, if you talk to anybody about social media, you talk to anybody about promotion, you will get an earful about how much they fucking hate it. Nobody says like, oh, I love it. I love promoting my shit. It makes them feel crazy, and I am here to help them to make peace with it. Because if you are not at peace with it, like how are you doing it these days? How are you getting people to watch and listen and tune in and do all the stuff? It's challenging.
No, I'm going to. This is gonna go in my my save. Like I'm gonna, what's it called? Budget. I'm gonna budget to hit you up, because my thing is like, so I love producing shows. I break it down into 5 elements. I think there's 5 major elements of producing a show. There's booking, concept creation, show running, all of which I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna humbly give myself an A+. There's communication, which is like messaging before the show, after the show, telling people what they need to know, like, here's the call time, here's where it is. How many comics, this has never happened to me, but I know so many comics that have like, oh, you want me to do 40 minutes? And then they get there and they're like, oh, by the way, clean. And they're like, well, fuck. Like, you should have told me that, not now. You should have told me that before. So communication is important. And I'm like, okay, I'll give myself a C because sometimes I forget. But the fifth one, I give myself an F, and that is promotions. I think I'm awful at it. And my question to you is, do you think everyone can actually learn to be good at promotions? Like, because people say that about singing, but it's like, no, now I'm just singing like crap. We've just taken away all the notes, and now I'm just really like I'm playing a British person in My Fair Lady. Like I'm just talking over music. That's not singing. Don't count that as singing. So, can anyone learn promotions?
I do feel like I feel like with singing, yes, anyone can learn to sing. Is it good? You know what I mean? I feel like I don't feel like promotion takes a lot of talent. I think even the way that what you said was like, oh, I break down booking a show into these steps, and you could teach people how to do that. You would be very surprised that people do not know how to chop up producing a comedy show, and they book too many people. They overpromise time. Then they didn't factor in that the host has to do time in between, and now we're 20 minutes over because the host is doing 3 minutes in between. What? Like, this is like a whole thing that people need to learn how to do. So
I would not be surprised, by the way. I
know. I'm just like
I have a syllabus ready to go.
Know.
I have a syllabus, and I'm like, I don't know if anyone would trust me, but I have these things. No, go on. I'm sorry.
So I feel like with teaching people promotion, I have the same thing because you have to demystify it, right? So it's like, in my first session, let's talk about the branding, right? What are we selling? If you don't know what you're selling, your audience isn't going to know what you're selling. So that means branding. Everyone's like, what does that mean? I'm like, it's images and it's text. That's it. It's an image, it's a photo, and it's a bio or it's a description. Demystify. Done. It's not more elaborate than that, right? So I help people. What are these photos? Are the photos working for you? Are they working against you? Are they a silent movie that delivers information about you to larger opportunities and also to the fans? How do we choose those photos? And I think what's hard is that the difficult part about it is that when you're the person that's promoting, sometimes you have blinders on and you don't see maybe sometimes what people see from the outside. That's why it's really good to have someone like me or a trusted friend that understands this, that can see it from the outside and say like, I feel like you could make this better. I don't know if you're choosing good enough photos. This feels like not a good enough photo. Or like, you won an award for X, Y, and Z. Why aren't you mentioning that? You know what I mean? It's like people famously hide all of their accomplishments in the very last sentence of their bio. And I'm like, don't leave it out, not even tell people that you've won an award or that you've done something amazing and great, or you bury it at the bottom. You need to lead with the goods. You need to put that right there at the top. So-and-so is an award-winning blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Do you know what I mean?
So this is way off topic, but there's a thread that connects it. Dating. We've had on this show, we've discussed, do you lead with your bad qualities?
Yes.
Okay. So not the same as promotion.
So here's the thing. I don't mean bad qualities. I mean, it's so funny. I just was talking with my friend Dara about this today. I am not here. When I got into my relationship, when I got into my relationship with my wife, I immediately right off with the bat, I was like, I want to get married, and I want X, Y, and Z. I feel like sometimes in relationship, people are like, they want to seem mysterious or they want to like not share that stuff. No, bitch, I am here to fucking scare you. I am here to tell you what is going on. I'm here to tell you the truth. And that, I feel like when it comes to promotion, people always talk about bragging. Oh, I don't want to brag. And I'm like, but if it's a fact and it happened, you're not bragging. That is a fact that happened. So I feel like with leading with the goods, that is a good thing about you, that you want to get married, that you want to have children, that you want to do X, Y, and Z, that you want to have the life that you want to have. That's the good shit about you. If somebody's not interested in that, then fine. Don't bury it 6 months in and then they find out that like you want to get married and then they don't. Or like they want to be in a throuple with their ex and you're like, I don't want that. Or like, yay, I want that. Like, let's talk about it. Let's put everything right up front. We want clarity We want pain on the front end. We don't want it on the back end when we find out later, or we weren't informed that that's what was going on. I don't want to be in a contract or in a situation that I don't know that I'm in. Fuck no.
I'm making a note of all of my red flags, so I can share with you. Like, oh look, this is what I would have to lead with. Okay, Melanie, that's the only other question that I really didn't touch on. I don't want to delve too deep into out of respect for your wishes, but you did write a one-woman show about the ordeal of being shot by an ex-girlfriend. Where can people see that? Because you mentioned your comedy special.
It's so, you know what, that is like, I wrote, directed, and produced it. It is currently sitting on a hard drive right now, and I didn't release it. It was also shot. You know, this is the thing about being, somebody who a large portion of my career happened before the internet was like really a thing. You know, it was just kind of getting started. The early part of my career isn't on every inch of the internet. So when I did that one woman show, you know, it was filmed, it was edited, it's beautiful, but it's sitting on a hard drive. I just recently had it digitized. The challenging thing about why I haven't released it yet is I do kind of also talk about some of my history at the end of my drinking and drugging. And I do talk about the fact that I lived with a drug dealer for a period of time and did some scary stuff. And it was very exciting to, of course, talk about that in a one-person show. However, I have a child now, and I also don't want to give a lot of airtime to maybe who that girl or woman was back then. Do you know what I mean? So I've chosen currently not to release it. That might be something that I might do maybe at a later date. I just don't feel like just because I've created it doesn't mean I need to put everything on the internet. I know some people love to put absolutely everything on the internet. I'm kind of choosing it wisely. You can't watch that. However, you can watch my comedy special, Wild Animal, which is available on Amazon and also on Reverie TV. For the LGBTQ people out there, Reverie TV is like the gay Netflix. They are amazing. And they distributed my comedy special as well. And I do talk a little bit about being shot and the process of all of that stuff that has turned me into the person that I am today, good, bad, and ugly. So yeah, you can watch it on Amazon or Reverie. Okay,
Amazon or Reverie. Wild Animal, right?
Yep.
Okay. That is the end of my proper questions. Do you have time left for rapid fire questions?
Oh my God, absolutely.
Okay. Do you ever wear wigs?
Oh my God, yes.
What's your favorite wig color?
My hair is orange right now, and it's so funny you ask this, and maybe I can get your help. Mm-hmm. I do want to get like a fall, like an orange fall, because I've always worn falls when my hair is short, and I had a great Patricia Field black fall for years that I wore. So when my hair was super short, I would just make a little ponytail up there and put the fall in, and then it would like 60s sitch and be just fierce. But I do need an orange version, so maybe we can talk after about where I can get that.
Oh, yeah. No, I know the best hair person, so we can definitely. I'm going to make note of that.
Yes, Queen. I'm ready.
Yeah. I sent you this message. I always have these little notes that would be completely uninteresting for the viewers, but like we gotta goss after.
Okay, good.
Okay, do you name your wigs?
Do I what?
Do you name your wigs or falls?
No, I've never done that, but I think I might consider that from here on out.
Okay. I some people do, some people don't. When you put on a bra, do you clasp it in front and spin it around, or do you do the unnatural arm thing?
I clasp in front and spin it around. However, my wife does it the other way. And I'm like, and here's the thing about butch women. They are packing heat. You know what I mean? And I'm like, how are you doing that? But, yeah, I'm clasp in front, spin.
Out of 67 episodes, sometimes I interview men so they don't wear bras. But I would say maybe 98%, no, more than that. I can say 3 people are back claspers. Chelsea is one of them, and we don't understand it. All of her friends and me are like, what? And she's like, yeah. they're too big. And we're like, yeah, don't spin it on your boobs, like clasp it on your stomach and then pull it up. Maybe she's not. I don't know. When you wear high heels, how high is too high for high heels?
Oh, I'm a practical high heel person. I've never been that person that's in those like bondage super high where you're on like point essentially. I am fashion all the way. I just love a beautiful, 3-4 inch situation. As I'm aging, I am realizing that I have to get much higher quality high heels. So that they give more support and they're more comfortable. I find that cheap shoes I can't at this stage of the game. So I gotta fucking invest with my high heels these days.
I like that. I like that lane change that you just did, because most people are like, oh, as I get older, the heels get smaller. I don't even wear them. You were like, no, just higher quality.
Yes, it makes a huge difference. So I literally just posted on my Instagram because I did buy some shoes during the pandemic and they got very little airtime, which was very upsetting to me because I'm like, I buy this gorgeous shit to be on display. You know what I mean? And I got a beautiful pair of shoes from Remix Vintage. And they're kind of like the shoes that are fashioned after Marilyn Monroe, and they've got like a gold. Blondie wears them on the cover of her album. I mean, they're just stunning. Yeah, I love a good shoe. But not cheap, but they will last. Oh wow, this is my second pair, and the last pair I had for many years. So if you take good care of them, beautiful wood, beautiful craftsmanship, nice padding for the ball of your foot, so you feel sturdy and supported, so you can stand at that art opening or dance all night long and not have to take your fucking shoes off like a wild animal, with your flat bare feet on the floor, at the club. No, we're not doing it.
Says the woman with the comedy special titled Wild Animal. If you're performing tonight, what is your walk-up song?
Oh my God, I've been asked this before. I think the last walk-up song I did was Bitch by the Rolling Stones. I think that's the last song that I chose, and I think it's appropriate.
What's your favorite recurring show to perform in?
Reoccurring show to perform at? Oh my God, it's been, oh God, I'm trying to think. Reoccurring show. I don't know if I have like a reoccurring show to be on. I do have some really great producers out here in LA. Jackie Steele is amazing. Sam Hale, always great show. They also put together a comedy and drag show that I had a lot of fun performing at. I have venues that I also always do well at. The Belly Room at the Comedy Store is like my OG home to perform at. I always feel good on that stage. I can't wait to get back up there.
Okay. I don't want to. I'm curious to ask about this comedy drag show because that's mine. But I'm like, no, I don't want to know anything because that way I can just keep doing mine and it's parallel.
Oh my God.
Thought.
Oh yeah, though there's plenty of room. Plenty of room.
Oh, for sure. I just parallel independent thought. I'm just going to just keep going. What's the funniest thing an audience member ever said to you after a show?
The funniest thing. Oh God, I don't know. I don't know if there's absolutely nothing that is standing out. I mostly just love to hug people and connect with them afterwards. I love seeing their glowing faces and to connect with humans. It's truly all I've ever wanted is to connect with people.
I like that. Do you have a favorite LGBTQ activist?
Who? You would think this would be off the top of my head. Not to bring it all back to my wife, but my wife does raise money for AIDS Life Cycle, and she raises money. She is such a good person. I am dead inside, Suzette. We joke all the time that I'm like, my heart is a lump of coal. My heart is the Grinch. And she's like, no, there's something fluffy in there. And I'm like, but is there though? And she just so openly just fundraises and raises money and rides bikes. And I feel like her commitment to service is also why all of this good stuff is happening for her. I feel like by giving back so generously and so freely, which is why I feel like it's been so beneficial for her. And I've always said that even for myself, like I'm always in a much better place when I'm being generous, which is hard for me because I of course, even with comedy, I'm like, I'm still the center of it. Like I do have some, selfishness and some narcissism, I'm sure, in there. But yeah, I don't even know if that answers your question.
I think it does. Your wife, and that's a great answer. She's an activist, and she's an LGBTQ activist. So
yeah,
how could she not be your favorite? What's your favorite item on the gay agenda?
Fashion, brunch, fans, just more glamour, more excitement. I only love, my favorite audience is gay men, gay men, gay men. Come to me. Let's hang out. I am here for you all fucking day long, and everything that's about. Yeah. Okay. Looking great, feeling good, glamour, glamour, glamour. It's never enough.
If I can get you to travel up here, you'll have to come to brunch and then do my show, and we'll just make sure there's lots of gay men in the audience. What's which dating scene do you think COVID-19 the COVID-19 pandemic affected more, the straight dating scene or the gay dating scene?
I mean, this is just my judgment from the outside. I would have to say the straight scene. I can't speak to being gay women or gay men, but like, has it affected? I mean, isn't everybody still on the apps and seeing each other? Like, right? I mean, right? I don't know. I would have to say the straight community.
What's your favorite position to? Now, you were in some heteronormative relationships, so this isn't as strange for you. But what's your favorite position What position do you imagine straight people having sex in? If you were to imagine them having sex?
Missionary, of course, or doggy style. I mean, come on, those are the classics. They're the classics.
Do you have a favorite sexual position?
Yeah, I mean, where my mind isn't in the way. The position where I'm set up to actually have an orgasm and not be cock blocked by intrusive thoughts about what my dad looks like in his coffin. Sure.
That's a good position. That's a great position. What is your least favorite children's show?
Oh, okay. I have seen every children's movie and TV show, of course, because I have a child. Anyone where they're just screaming, it's just so much screaming. It's just screaming, 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 screaming. I swear to God, animators out there, we can hear you. People can talk at a normal fucking volume. Also, too, making TV so freaking over the top so these kids can't focus on real life. Like, just calm down, slow down, turn the volume down. Relax. You can talk at a normal pace. Not everything has to be like screaming at the top of their lungs. I fucking hate that. I hate it.
What is the best adult show disguised as a children's show?
A best adult show disguised as a child show?
Mm-hmm.
I love Bob's Burgers. Love it. And I don't even think that's even disguised as a children's show. I mean, it's animated. Of course, I think The Simpsons, of course, spanning the amount of time that it has. It's not for children. I don't even know if that makes sense. I guess I'm just saying like animated shows, you know what I mean? That would seem like they're for kids, but they're not, and super smart. Love those.
What's your favorite thing about you said you like brunch. What's your favorite thing about brunch, the existence of brunch?
Oh my God, just eating, bitch. I can eat. I love to eat. I love to put it away. I'm from an Italian family. My mom's last name is Caesar. My family is, Sicilian, and I love to eat. Oh my God.
That's how
pasta, sauce, ricotta. Oh my God, all of it. A cannoli, like pasta, with ricotta piped inside of it. Oh, say no more. A fucking veal parm, an eggplant parm, a lasagna. Oh. Have I said enough food?
You have, and also you mentioned you're Sicilian, which is how you're 50 years old and don't look it. So that answers that question. Do you cook or bake yourself?
I do a little cooking myself, but living with a chef, I literally just tell her what I want and she brings it to me. I live in a goddamn restaurant, which is how unfortunately, I got up to like 200 pounds before the pandemic. I've since lost 45 pounds. I've gone up a little bit. I got down to 50 pounds and then I've gained about 5 pounds. But I lost weight during the pandemic because I had to learn how to just not eat every single thing that my wife makes.
That can be hard.
Yeah.
DC or Marvel?
Oh my God, I don't know. I'm not enough of a nerd. What was the Joker? Was it Marvel or was it DC?
DC.
Okay. And I don't know if that's correct because I know that the Marvel people, I talked with Mark Maron on my podcast about, the Marvel people, and they really came for him because I guess he said the wrong thing on a Conan interview. And there's, a lot of Marvel universe people, but I really did love the movie The Joker. I thought Joaquin Phoenix's performance was fantastic. I don't know if that makes me DC or Marvel. I don't know. Sorry to everybody on Twitch. You guys probably know more.
Oh no, that's okay because you're acknowledging you don't know, and just if you need an answer on anything like comic wise, just slide me a message and I'm your
Okay,
girl.
good.
I got you, and no one will know. You'll be like
Okay,
an
good.
expert. I'm your ghost expert.
Yay.
If we're at a show and it's over and someone's buying us shots, what are we shooting or drinking?
Well, I don't drink, but
that's
I
right.
would have.
But I mean, they're gonna get us a drink, so like tonic water.
Oh, I am just all about a Diet Coke. However, I do love some non-alcoholic beer every once in a while. If I want to get that feeling of feeling like I'm part of the crowd, I will have some nice non-alcoholic beer. However, it does the worst thing, which is that it just makes you bloated and have to go to the bathroom. So it's like the worst things about beer.
So this is the first time I've ever suggested a drink to a viewer. And I don't even know if this is something you like, but you're Italian and I'm Italian. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume. What if we are like, hey, Melanie doesn't drink. Could we get some floats?
Oh my God, like a root beer float?
Yeah, I mean that, or what's really
Oh.
sneaky good is a Mr. Pibb float.
Wonderful.
So good.
I would love that.
Okay, we're
Love.
having floats.
Great.
This may be the most important question of the rapid fire. Toilet paper, over or under?
Oh my God, I don't know. I see people being very concerned about this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be bothered. I put it on there. It could be either way. I don't know. This might totally upset all the people of Twitch that I am so unaware of my toilet paper power. And I am just dishing it out right and left. Who knows what I'm doing? Random. Toddler with a gun. I don't know.
Okay, 67 episodes. There are some verse toilet paper people and some apathetic toilet paper people. And that is more surprising to me than someone who puts their bra on and clips it in back. Do you have a favorite drag queen?
I am very much in love with Trixie Mattel. I love Trixie and Katya. I came late to that party. I watch all of the drag race. I love all of the queens in my life and try and support them as much as possible. But I just love Trixie and Katya's. I watch and I love their relationship, their chemistry. I think that's what I love. I think I love their chemistry. It could be anybody. I think when there is true chemistry is captured, it is very rare and it cannot be replicated. That is something that cannot be taught. That is something that is magic. That is pure magic. And I feel like what they have in their shows is truly that. I hope I never meet them simply because I have met some of my idols and it has let me down tremendously. I would like for them to live in a world of my imagination that they are fantastic and that they're not bitter cunts in real life.
On that note, do you have a favorite comedian?
A favorite comedian? I have so many. I would have to say that the comedian that's probably been the most powerful and generous with me has been Maria Bamford, who she's also a client. I do all her social media. I built her website. I've also performed with her. She's also been very generous to talk to me as, you know, a person who is struggling with mental health issues. She's very transparent about her mental health issues. I would just have to say that for personal reasons, that's who she is for me. However, as a young woman growing up, Elaine Boozler was incredibly inspiring to me. And I really challenge anybody out there, if you don't know who Elaine Boozler is, please Google her and watch her specials and watch her on TV. She is a fashion maven. She looks fucking amazing. Her jokes are perfection. Elaine Boozler, she's a killer.
Do you have a favorite drag king?
A favorite drag king? I do actually. So right here, this right here is Playboy magazine. So I was in Playboy magazine from being in a movie called oh my god, I'm completely forgetting the name of the movie that I was in. Directed by Hal Hartley. Henry Fool. Sorry, it's been a minute since I said that out loud. I was naked. Not naked. I was a stripper in that movie, and they took stills from that movie and put it in Playboy. So I ended up in Playboy magazine. You're welcome. And my very good friend, who is a drag king, Mo, who goes by the name of Moby Dick, in Playboy magazine, Moby Dick was in John Waters' film, which is escaped me. Oh, Pecker. So I was on one side of that, literally the 2 pages opening up. I was on one side and Mo was on the other for Pecker. And so Moby Dick, I saw Moby throughout the 90s, is a fantastic performer. And also I think has a project right now. I know they were doing it a while back, but I think they were doing the history of being a drag king. And I think that they were making a website about it. I don't know where that's at now, but I like them as a person, and I think they are a fantastic performer. Moby Dick.
Nope, that's a great answer. No one's ever said it. I have a list of drag kings that I'd want to reach out to interview, and Moby Dick is on that list.
Oh, great.
So I'll have to keep trying, because what a cool story.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad some people have never seen a drag king, and you have an amazing one that is your favorite. Do you have a favorite? This is completely self-serving. Do you have a favorite drag princess?
What's a drag princess? Like somebody who's first starting out, or?
Yeah. So for me, I look at the queens I perform with, and I'm like, oh, they can do everything. They can style their hair, and they can make a dress, and they perform, and then they host, and then they make sure people get Ubers on the way home, and then they clean up. Like, those are queens. And I look at them, and I'm like, I'm not a queen. So I don't know. And then in Tu Wong Fu, it's Chi Rodriguez, because she's she's working her way up to being a drag queen.
I'm looking up her Instagram right now, because there she is. I found her. So non-binary drag princess. So her handle is Siri_ew. But she goes by a different name, and let's see if her name is here. I'm looking. Oh God. I don't think that what's so hard about this, and I maybe need to talk to them about their branding, is because I don't know their full drag name.
Oh yeah.
And maybe it is Siri. I could be wrong. Oh, I think it is Siri Swanson. Yes, Siri Swanson. Maybe that's their full drag name. But anyway, they were the receptionist at my my hair salon, and we became friends. And then they've done some really great performances, and I've emceed, I think, like a Christmas show they did or whatever. And I feel like they really qualify as a fantastic drag princess, and they're really coming up and fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful human.
That is a great answer. That's all my questions, Melanie. Thank you so much for spending all this time on the show and for helping make me feel better about where I am and passing along some encouraging words to Chelsea. This has been amazing. I hope it's been fun, at least for you.
Well, I just want to say to you that people ask me to be on podcasts all the time. I have this crazy story that, of course, people always want to talk about, and I, of course, am wonderfully happy to talk about myself as much as possible. However, when you sent over that list of questions, I felt so honored that you had done your homework. I'm often talking with people where they're like, so tell us about you. And I'm like, oh my God, like, where do I start? Like, what do you want to talk about? The 90s, the early 2000s, the 80s? You want to, like, where do you want to begin? And I'm like, I feel like that puts
what cereal I buy. Like,
I know, I'm like, that puts so much pressure on me to like try and control where this goes. And then sometimes I'm actually educating them on who I am as a person. And I'm like, oh my God. And I don't mean to say like, you should know who I am. I'm just saying, like, as far as doing a good interview, being able to help your interviewee manage the interview. It is its own craft. And I really can't commend you enough for doing your homework and helping me do this, because it's not easy to talk about yourself. And it's a challenge to have a good interview. So I really want you to keep doing what you're doing. You're very good at it, and I can tell you're very detail oriented, and I think there's big success for you in your future, so don't fuck it up.
Thank you very much. I will do my best not to fuck it up. And I will say I tend to be self-deprecating, but in a rare moment where I'm not, I produce a really amazing show. And so I definitely hope that I can get you either come to you and do the show there or get you up here.
Well, we'll have to connect somewhere, and I'm happy to do it.
You know what? If there's a fall up here, shipping costs a lot. So
I'll just drive up and get my orange wig.
Yeah, I mean that's the reason, And
you're gonna lure me like a fall on the end of like a fishing rod with a string, and I'm like, oh,
that, and like, oh, look at this great location. That would be great for a bike cafe. I think you should check it out.
Yeah, you know what? My wife and I will bike up tandem. You know what I mean? I'll sit in the kiddie seat in the back with a helmet, and we'll just pedal.
It sounded miserable until you said you were just gonna sit, and I'm like, oh, I could do that. That sounds like a jam. Oh my gosh, Melanie, thank you so much. I adore you, and this has been a blast.
Well, you're a gem. Thank you so much for having me, and anytime you want to chat, I'm here.
I will be reaching out.
Yay!
Okay. Please thank your wife. She probably has been waiting patiently for you to get off, and we'll talk later.
You got it.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Melanie Vesey, everybody. Her information was below her. You can follow, you can support, you can send coin, you can hire her if you need promotional rescue. You can check her out on Amazon, Wild Animal. And follow her to see what show is coming out, so you can see her on the show. That is the interview. We're going to go with David Shapiro. He hasn't been on in a couple weeks, so let's get him on. Actor. He does all the things Melanie does, but he's bad at them. He's not successful. Hi, David. How are you?
Hey, Suzette. How are you?
I'm okay.
Yeah, I haven't been on your show.
No, you
I haven't
haven't
been on your show in the last couple of weeks.
No.
So I wanted to pop in and say
Hi.
hello.
Yeah, hi.
Thanks for having me. And yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how are you?
Such good words.
Long day today?
Yes, very long day.
I'm just getting ready for hosting the show at Punchline on the 18th.
Uh-huh.
Hopefully it can be as good as your shows.
Oh, thank you.
That you do there.
Yes, they are good.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever actually hosted a show at Punchline.
No?
So if you have any tips you want to, you've hosted quite a few there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been in
like
shows
25
there, but I haven't hosted there. I do love that club. And also I want to come and perform at Stab when Stab is open. I'm excited to perform there too.
That you've done.
Other than that, let's see what's going on. Someone told me I should talk about the Cleveland Guardians. I thought that was stupid at first. The baseball team there, formerly the I don't know if we're because we don't say the Washington football team's name, but the Cleveland Indians were named after a Native American player, but he wasn't Indian, he was Native American, so
Correct.
therein lies the sort of problem. They're being renamed the Cleveland Guardians. I thought it was stupid at first, but I just did some research here, and there's a bridge that leads to Progressive Field, and it has the Guardians of Traffic, these 43-foot tall pillars, men looking over traffic and protecting people, I guess. I don't know. And so they're naming it that after these statue men that protect people, and that's cool, you know. I don't know. I like the White Sox name. I hope they never change it. It's not an awful name, so they probably won't. Yeah. So that's groovy. I don't really know what else to say. I thought it was dumb, and it's not. It's actually kind of cool.
Are you
It's,
getting
civic
points?
pride.
What's happening?
This goes back to a whole thing that I think civic pride with sports. I think all the teams in one city should share the same colors, right? Like, you're from Pittsburgh, right?
Yes.
Okay. Everything you wear that's black and yellow could be for any of your teams, right? You got the Penguins and the Steelers and the Pirates.
And the Pirates, right?
You don't have a basketball team.
No, I like
Which
the
is
Bulls.
why you like my basketball team, the Bulls.
Yes.
But whatever. Because they're a good team to like. I think Chicago clearly should go with red and black, right? Like, red and black is the Bulls. The Cubs have red. The Sox have black. The Blackhawks have red and black. And the Bears could easily swap from orange and blue to red and black. And I know, like, oh my God, lots of history there. Like, whatever. Just let me wear two colors and have civic pride. Or you could do something that's on UniWatch and have city flag jerseys. So, like, Chicago would obviously baby blue and red. I'd be fine with that too, except the Bulls have not changed their logo ever. They're the only sports. Do you know that? Because you're a Bulls fan, right? The
Yeah,
Bulls are
I
the
didn't.
only sports franchise that's been around long enough. Like, obviously, like, you have, like, the the hockey team in Las Vegas. They've not changed their logo. They just came into being. And, like, the hockey team in
The
Seattle,
Golden Knights.
the Kraken.
The Kraken.
They just came into being. So, like, they haven't changed their logo because, like, they haven't existed long enough. But any team that's been around, 10 years or more, usually changes their logo. The Bulls have never, not once, changed their logo.
Like,
Not a single time.
tweaked it?
Not even once. Not a tweak. Their uniform, yeah, but their logo, never. Also,
Really?
upside down, it's a robot reading a book on a park bench. So
I've
you
seen
can't
that.
unsee that
I
once
know.
you
You're
see
right.
it. Google that if you want.
No, I've seen it.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I think that it would make my life easy. My dad went to a White Sox Cubs game yesterday, so, like, one team would have to be more black and one team would have to be more red. Already done. The White Sox are more black. The Cubs are more red. So just go with it. You know? I don't have anything else. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. So
Okay.
I hope you're well.
Tired,
Hope
but
you're
well.
gonna make it through your day. It's a long one.
It is.
But I think you'll do it.
Thanks
And
for the encouragement.
I don't know. Yeah. I come back next week. Is that cool? I haven't been around. Just been tired, depressed. Depression is a thing, man. Do you ever get depressed, Suzette?
Not
well-
the way you do.
I do.
I know.
Sometimes I don't know how to handle it. So, it's rough.
One
Depression
step at a
life is
time.
rough. Anyway, I got some food that's
Mm.
chirping. The microwave is chirping. Frozen rice from Costco. Frozen fried rice. It's not as good as Shanghai Garden, which is my favorite. Shanghai Garden on Alhambra and H. But they were
is
closed
Product
when I
placement?
went by last night. It was after 9. They're open till 9. And I guess I could go now, but I stayed here to be on your show with you. And I was hungry, so I just warmed some up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me check in and, appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank
I got
you.
nothing else.
Okay, well then
I would like
rice.
something. You come up with something for us to talk about next time. How's that? I would like you to come up with something for me to talk about with you. I think that'd be groovy. Also, because I do a lot of work writing for your show, so you should do some work for your own show. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. That's it.
All right. Well, I have to go.
Your T-shirt person, Liz Sharp, there with 1585.
Yeah.
Printco. I got my bar mitzvah shirts made, and I'm pretty stoked. Would you like a bar mitzvah shirt?
Sure.
Okay. Then I will get you a bar mitzvah shirt. Because I have some of your shirts, so it's only fair that you support me back. And I don't know if that's my merch, but they're pretty dope. So bar mitzvah T-shirt for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it. I'm just rambling now.
Yeah.
And I've said goodbye like 4 times.
So
you take care. You be well. And
okay. The feed. He's gone. That's the show. Thank you so much to Chelsea Bierce. Thank you so much to Melanie Vesey. Thank you to Jesse. Thank you to Stab. Thank you, Poor Judgment, for saying such wonderfully nice things about my show and me. I appreciate it. I just can't respond back because I'm not logged in. Anyway, this was the Suzette Veneti Show. It was a great show. I'm really proud of this show, and I had fun. And we'll be back next week on the 15th with a really awesome person, Sky Mundy, who is a content creator. And we'll see you then, 5:03 on the 15th. Bye.
The city's your playground. I watch you take a bite. At 5 a.m. roaming the streets, drunk all night. You think you're hot shit, and ooh, I love it.